Smooches, and welcome back to Live Laugh Lauren. If this is your first time here, let me introduce myself. My name is Lauren, and this is my little YouTube corner of the internet, and up here I do all things cozy and crafty as I take you along into my creative lifestyle. And today, I actually want you to do some crafting alongside with me. So I'm currently working on a secret project. I'm actually so excited to show you all soon. I think I'm starting to work out some kinks. All I'll say is this is a self-drafted pattern and it's summer coated. That's it. That's all I'm saying. It does have one of my favorite colors in it, red. And so go grab your project, go grab you a nice drink, whether that is a Coke Zero, water, juice, whatever, coffee. We are here, we're game for it. And today I want to help you get out of your knitting rut. It happens to all of us crafters. You make a few sweaters and then you're like, shoot, I don't know what to do right now. And I kind of found myself in that kind of scenario recently. So if you've been following alongside with me, also if I look down, I'm just knitting. As you go crafting things, go craft alongside with me. I found myself, I finished 2 test knits and then I was like, shoot, I don't know what to do. And listen, I can't really say much because I'm currently working on 2 other test knits right now. One of which is the Princess Peplum Top by Vera Grazia, and then the Seaside Shorts by Bailey Baird or Engineering Loops. And both of these projects are super fun and they work up quickly, right? So I'm basically done with the Princess Peplum Top. All I have left is to add some straps and block it. And this top is basically just a tank top, very summery coated, so it worked up super duper quickly. And the other project I'll be working on, the Seaside Shorts, also will likely work up super quickly because it's a one skein project, I would call. And it's a pair of shorts, so like it shouldn't be too complicated. But I finished 2 sweaters and I was like, darn, I don't know what to do. I don't know like what my next thing that I want to do like crafting wise is, knitting wise is. And I found myself in a little rut, which is kind of why I'm knitting this right now. And today I was just going to help give you some good pointers to help get you out of that knitting rut if you find yourself ever in it. The first suggestion I would give is to actually just go and take a look at what you have in your yarn stash currently. So that's kind of how I found myself here, is I had some extra yarn laying around from the Princess Peplum Top. And I was like, oh, like I could probably make something out of it. What better place to look at what materials you have than your yarn stash? And the best thing about doing this is you get to use up some scraps that you have around and you can get like more use out of it. Maybe you end up coming up with making a headband to match a sweater that you have or something. I know recently I made Alex a sweater because I had leftover yarn and I was like, you know, I want to make him a sweater. I like giving him clothes, and it was the perfect way to like use up some of my stashed yarn. And it helps. You don't have to go to the yarn store. It's free if you look at it girl math wise, because you're not buying additional yarn. You've already bought it, so why not go ahead and put it to use? When it comes to using your stash intentionally, I would recommend sorting out your yarn based on the yarn weight and also maybe the colors, how much of it you have. And there's this wonderful feature on Ravelry, which is the creme de la creme of all things knit and crochet, pattern design, patterns availability. It's like the Amazon of patterns, right? You can actually put in how much yarn you have and it'll give you back patterns that follow that as well. So it's perfect so that you can use up your stash. Some of the Ravelry filters in there are like the yardage, yarn weight, or even you can put in projects that use that specific type of yarn or recommend that. And looking at this frame of using up what you already have can really help with the knitting burnout, because instead of trying to come up with something entirely from nothing, you are using what you already have. So it helps with that decision like fatigue, and it helps like eliminate one part of the equation, right? Because you're just looking at what you have. It's like, these are my knowns and this is, I know I want to knit, but I don't know what to knit. And it just helps you, takes out one decision, because I know whenever I go to start a pattern or make a new sweater or something, I'm like, oh, I don't know what type of yarn I want. And then I go running through the list. I'm like, okay, first, what color do I want? What type of yarn do I want? What material? And once you go to the yarn store, holy moly, it is so intimidating. But just remember, if you're already a crafter, chances are you have a yarn stash. Use it. And also, don't be afraid to mix match yarns. That has been one of my favorite things as of recent, is like playing around with different textures and whatnot, and you can get some really neat things out of it. In terms of good things to know when it comes to using up your yarn stash, a good rule of thumb is there's a good amount of projects that can just take one skein of yarn, and typically I try to get an extra skein of yarn whenever I make anything, just so I don't run into the risk of playing yarn chicken. No one likes that game. And in that case, if you do have one skein, you can do a lot with it. You can make a tank top, you can make a hat, you can make maybe part of a scarf, you can make a headband, you can make other accessories. So you can make a pair of socks with one skein of yarn, which is awesome. If you do have a few more, so maybe 2 to 3, then you are widening up your options. So perhaps you can make a vest or a crop sweater. If you have a yarn stash, go take a look at it, and it might just help you get out of your knitting rut. My next piece of advice, if you don't know what to make next, is why don't you take a look at the pieces in your wardrobe that you keep gravitating towards. I found myself in this situation because I have a lot of V-neck sweaters. I just love me. I like showing off the collarbones, and I just love a good V-neck, right? I feel like it's classy, but it's like a little step up above from just like a simple like raglan like this, right? I really like the neckline on it. So I was like, oh, what if I made my own V-neck sweater? And I did. It was featured in my last video actually. It's this like pink V-neck that I just designed off the fly one day. And I think that looking at the pieces that you are drawn to in your wardrobe, knit or not knit, can be a really good informer for like your next things to make. I recently have been really drawn to like a square neckline. It's like with tank tops, not knit, like just normal tank tops. And spoiler alert, that is what I'm working on right now. It's over here, but again, working on it before I show anything. And this has been a really good guidepost to like help to pick out what next things I want to make. If I'm already drawn to it, then why not just try to knit it? Like for a while, I was really drawn to like a good like peplum sleeve, or not peplum sleeve, but like a big like poofy sleeve, and I was like, oh, maybe I could try knitting that. So that is on my like wish list of things to knit, and I think that this is overall a great way to just help find things that like you want to make, because if you already like it in the not knit version or knit version, why don't you try to recreate that? So some questions you could ask yourself are, what colors are you drawn to? I've seen this mistake with a lot of beginner knitters. They have a hard time figuring out like what colors to like make sweaters and tops out of. But if you look at what colors you're already gravitating towards in your wardrobe, make those colors. Yes, butter yellow might be trending, but do you like it? If the answer is no, then don't knit a sweater in that. If you like brown, knit a sweater in that. If you are going to spend 50 hours making a sweater, make it in a color that you love and you feel inspired in, so you can demonstrate and show off your knitwear. Another question to ask yourself is, what silhouettes do you reach for? Do you like a more fitted top, or do you like a more looser top? Or bottoms, do you like a more fitted or tighter one? So this is a great question to look at when picking a pattern, and maybe like trying to figure out your ease and whatnot. And this can just help kind of guide the like silhouette. So it kind of goes back to that V-neck of, I really like that like V-neck like feature, so I want to make a sweater like that. And going off of that, the last question I would suggest you ask yourself is, what do you want more of? I think a lot of times in culture nowadays we try to cut things out, but why don't we look at what we already have? What are we liking, and what do we want to like improve it, like if we want more? So for me, I love me a good classic t-shirt, right? 9 times out of 10 I wear a t-shirt and jeans. That's like my comfort outfit. I love it. So on my like knit wish list, I want to try knitting a t-shirt because I like the silhouette of it, and my wardrobe right now is kind of lacking in it. Like I don't have enough for the week, so maybe that's a good area for me to go in next. When you are choosing out your pattern, don't just knit it because it's cute. Knit it because you like it and you can actually see yourself wearing it, because then you can show it off and show off your hobby and your expertise and skill in knitting. Just some ideas to keep on ruminating on. Perhaps you could recreate a store-bought sweater as I did with my V-neck sweater. I actually have another vest in my wardrobe that I want to try recreating, and it's so fun because you already have a finished product of it, so you can take a look at it and try to figure your way around it. And it's good like mental exercise to try to re-engineer it and figure out how they did it. Instead of knitting the really fun base or statement pieces, you can knit basics. There's nothing wrong with it. This sweater is one of my faves, and it is so simple. It's literally just a raglan, and I wear it very often. Not now since it's warmer or warming up, but it's okay to knit some basics because then you'll actually wear them, and it feels really good to wear your own pieces. And also just looking for what gaps you have in your wardrobe. So for instance, as I mentioned, I realized I don't have a lot of t-shirts right now. A lot of them got holes in them due to August, and I need more. So instead of going to the store and buying more, I'll just make more from like knitting them. And yeah, it's not as exhilarating as like doing a really fun statement color work sweater or cable sweater. Sometimes I just need that more mindless knit, just stockinette and going through the motions and just getting like my fingers moving with knitting. That's why I love it. It's a fun, slow craft. The next way I would suggest to get out of your knitting rut is to use some creative inspiration. So whether that is consulting your Pinterest board or going onto TikTok or Instagram and looking up knit inspo, right? As dumb as that sounds, and as much as people want to say avoid social media, I think that sometimes using it with intentionality can be super helpful. That is how I have found myself in like the knit community. I've found test knits to do. A lot of the patterns I have found have been via Instagram or YouTube, whatever it might be. And I think that this is a great way to just find more patterns to try out and just get some more inspo. So as I was mentioning in the last section, I was mentioning like how maybe don't make a bunch of statement pieces if that's not really your vibe. But hey, every now and then, if it helps you get out of your knitting rut, I say go for it. Have some fun with it, right? A key that I do is I'll go to my saved pins and I'll look at the outfits I'm pinning. So even if it is a not knit piece, it's similar to looking in your wardrobe and trying to figure out what pieces you can like make the knit version of. So for example, I saw a lot of like tank tops that had like cute little embellishments on it, which is currently what I'm making. And I was like, maybe I knit that instead of just sewing it. And I'm having a blast doing that. It has been so fun. And it's helping me get out of my knitting rut. Another thing you can look at is what colors you see, what silhouettes do you see, similar to when you look to your own closet. If you are already making things that you're drawn to, then it's probably a good direction to go in, right? So I would advise, don't just search up knitting patterns. You will come across 10,000, 100,000 different search results. Instead, look up outfits and see what pieces of it actually stick out to you. Maybe you see something that has a fitted tank top. Cute, why don't you try to knit it? You can do it. The best thing about knit is that it's super stretchy, so you can make a fitted tank top if you want to. Or maybe you see a really cute, cozy, oversized cardigan that you think you can make. Why don't you give it a whirl? Just try it out. My next suggestion for getting out of the knitting rut is, let's get out of clothing territory and let's look in our home space. What problems can we solve? So for a while there, many years ago, I realized I had no bins, which is such a weird problem. Like looking back, because now I have so many freaking bins. I don't know how. I didn't know that adult life was going to just be accumulating bins, but here we are. And I would recommend, or going back to it, I didn't have any. So I ended up crocheting a bunch. And I had a bunch of them laying around. And like, yes, it wasn't super hard to make. It was a good way to really just like solve a problem I already had in life. And that is my suggestion to you. If you have a problem around your house, why don't you try to knit or crochet a solution for it? So if you watched my Ninja Creami video, you'll know that I had a problem where my Ninja Creami was freaking frigid and my hands were freezing. So to alleviate this, I decided to make myself a Ninja Cozy. And this was a great solution to the problem. And some other ideas to help get that brain turning is perhaps making crates, as I mentioned, or like baskets or something. You can crochet it. If you hold 2 strands of yarn that's like thick, then it will hold up and it's really good. You could also knit yourself a bag to hold bananas in your kitchen. You can knit a laptop sleeve. You can knit bags for the grocery store. There's so many options. There's so many. And this is really helpful as it kind of turns the knitting for fun into knitting for purpose. And it can really help get like ignite that fire again. And once it works, it's like, oh, like, look, I did it. I solved the problem I have. And it feels really good. My next suggestion for breaking out of the knitting rut is to try a skill that you're a little nervous to try. So for me, last year I decided to get into color work because I have found myself in a little bit of a knitting rut. The only color work I had done was doing like a full strand of one color. And I wanted to try to challenge myself of like actually learning to do color work, which I did with the Paradox sweater. And I think that when we get into a rut, it can be a little difficult because we either need to like do something that's like mindless and like you take the pressure off, or you add a little bit of pressure so that you can kind of like find the fun in it again. So I think that that's kind of a self-judgment kind of call, but I would recommend that sometimes like to reignite the fire, it's fun to like learn a new skill. And there are so many different skills you can look at with knitting and crocheting. Some of which include learning cables, color work, intarsia, lace, different stitch patterns, different constructions. So maybe you've only done top down, maybe try down up or bottom up. So there's so many different things. Maybe you try different yoke style. Maybe you try different like pattern writer. You could try out new yarn. Just something to help try something new and to like learn how to do a new skill. It doesn't need to be a super big project either. It can be a small experiment. So maybe you try out a new stitch pattern, but just as a scarf. I actually did that for the Yarn Fest this year. I was practicing doing cables in this like lace kind of pattern and like reading a pattern with a small, I don't know what you call that, not a scarf, a cowl, I think it's called. And that was a really good way to just help me get out of a rut. And it was a very low stakes project, one that I could finish in a couple hours. So I got the reward from it back like immediately in the dopamine rush, but I had a fun time doing it. And I think just going back into finding that fun in it again is so key. So like whether that is trying out cables for the first time. Yes, it might be difficult. Take the pressure off. If you make a mistake, it's yarn, it's okay, it's not deep. And have fun with it. Experiment around, test out some different things, and just have fun with it. Even if it's making a gauge watch and adding some cables to it. You don't have to be making things for a purpose. It can just be for the pure joy and fun of it, right? Lastly, I would say look at the things you love and maybe just make something for fun like that. It can be more of an emotional reset, one might say. So one area you could look for is perhaps looking at like pop culture. What shows and movies have inspired you recently? So for me, I have been obsessed with Project Hail Mary. I read the book, saw the movie, and I absolutely loved it. And now I am dying to make 3 things from it. I want to A, make myself a little mini Rocky because we love Rocky. He's so freaking cute. 2, I want to make a little earth globe throw that like he features in the movie and he throws with his students. And 3, his cardigan. Like Grace's cardigan in it is so stinking cute. It has like foxes on it and it's intarsia like knit, and I was like, oh, I could crochet that or knit it. So those are both on my like to-do list at some point, and like I don't have any pressure on myself to do it because I can knit it when I'm ready to. Maybe it's in a couple years when I want to relive what I felt when watching Project Hail Mary for the first time. And I think just going back into pop culture and seeing what inspires you can be really helpful. Maybe you want to make a Pokemon plush, like just something to help make you smile. You're not trying to knit to impress anyone. This is a hobby for you, so remember to have fun with it. Something I always forget is I can always remake a pattern. I can make a pattern and then I can make it again. So like this sweater I'm wearing right now, I've actually made it twice and I will likely make it again because it's that good of a pattern. And it's just been, I have a blast doing it. It's a super simple pattern to follow and it just helps me chug along at it. And it continuously improved my skills with knitting. And one thing to remember is not every project needs to be productive or even wearable. It can just be solely for fun. Who says otherwise? You can crochet or knit decorations. I've seen so many videos about that online. And like, it's been on my like wish list. I want to make more tapestries. Like, that would be fun to knit. I made my sister actually a Taylor Swift Eras tapestry once for Christmas, and that was a blast. Like, yes, it was simple and it wasn't really like, it's not useful, but it's cute and I had a fun time making it. So remember, you can just make things for fun. That's what the whole craft is about. There's no pressure on it. And just some caveats to try to avoid if you are in a knitting rut. Whatever you do, as I've emphasized throughout this whole video, don't put pressure on yourself to make a project you don't want to. If you are in the middle of a project and you don't, or you're just sick of it, take a break, step back from it. Make sure to take notes of where you are, because trying to come back to it after stopping for a bit can be a pain, and I've run into that. I'll forget what needle size I had with it or what row I was on, so make sure to take notes on it so you remember where to pick back up from. It's like putting a bookmark in a book, coming back after a month and trying to remember what happened like a few chapters ago. So just make sure to give yourself ample like room to remember where to keep going and how to like actually like continue on with the project. But don't put pressure on yourself to finish a project if you're just not in the mood for. So with my Princess Peplum top, I love it, but I'm just not in the mood to make I-cord straps right now. It is currently on the back burner. And while I do have a time limit with test knit, I'm ahead of it by a good margin. So I'm putting myself very low pressure with that, and I'll do I-cords when I'm ready for it. It'll be a better like mindless task anyways, so it is definitely a later task for me. And there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not gonna force myself to get through it just to finish it, because then that's only going to cause more burnout with knitting. Another thing I would say is don't just buy more yarn to hopefully say it'll be fixed. I found this especially like in reading. If I ever find myself in a book slump, I'm telling you now, if you buy a bunch of books, I doubt it's going to get you out of your book slump. Sometimes you just need a little reset from it, and whether that's a few weeks away or something, and you just have to kind of get the courage to come back to it after a while, after you miss it. So don't just go out and buy a bunch of more yarn. So look at your yarn stash, look at what you already have, and use that up first. And also, whatever you do, don't compare how much you knit to how other people knit. Everyone, don't compare how much you knit to how much other people do it. People have different speeds. People have been doing it for different years. And there's nothing wrong with how much you've done compared to others. There's no positive benefit from comparing how two different people knit. The only good comparison is against yourself and how much you've been able to complete against yourself, and that is it. So while yes, I post videos about the things I make, it's more as like inspiration for other people, and it's not like me bragging about how much I made, right? So just make sure not to compare how much you're making compared to other people. It will only keep you in that knitting rut for longer. So if you are in a knitting rut, I challenge you to just try one of these approaches I mentioned today in the video, and hopefully it'll kick you out of it, right? And try different ones. Maybe one of them will click and others won't. There's no real solution to it. It's kind of just trying to see what inspires you again to get back into the hobby. I found this with many of my hobbies. You just have to kind of keep trying, and if it's really important to you, you'll get yourself out of it, right? It's like, I'm sure Taylor Swift has days where she doesn't feel like writing a song, but I'm sure she tries different approaches until she can figure out how to get her spark back from it. And I think that's a good like grounding point, is to remember what brings you the spark to knit in the first place. Is it for the relaxingness of it? Is it the repetitive nature to it? Is it using creativity with it? Is it just the feel of the yarn in your hands? There's so many things that can spark joy from it, and just remember what brought you to the craft in the first place. I think that's always a good point to bring yourself back to. So with that, I did not really knit much during this, but hopefully you got some of your project done, and I would love to hear what projects you're working on. So please comment them down in the comments below. I'm always open to seeing what y'all are making. I love it. And it helps me get some more ideas for things to make as well, because I think that's one of the hardest things. After you make a ton of stuff, it's hard to figure out what your next step is, right? In terms of what next to knit, what next to crochet. And I think that this video is the perfect guidepost in terms of trying to figure out what is your next project gonna be. So thank y'all again so much for watching. If you liked what you saw today, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like, and share with some of your crafting buddies. Get my name out there. And until next time, XOXO.